Muslim minority from the mainly Buddhist country. The report also calls for the leading military leaders to be held accountable.
There is no doubt in our minds whatsoever that what we saw happen in Rakhine as a whole would not have happened without it firstly being within the knowledge of the senior military leadership and secondly under their effective control.
UN investigators collected testimonies from more than 800 witnesses and victims who described their abuse at the hands of the Myanmar military. But in the Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh, some people are relieved to hear about the UN investigation.
I'm very happy at this UN report. Myanmar's government has killed tens of thousands of our people, raped our mothers and sisters, killed many children, and burned our homes.
Myanmar's government has consistently denied it's carrying out ethnic cleansing, but the UN report says that its top army commander should be tried for genocide. And it also blames the country's leader Aung San Suu Kyi for failing to stop the violence. At least 700,000 Rohingya have fled Myanmar in the last year, and human rights groups blame the UN system for not acting sooner.
There's been a systematic failure on the part of the UN and the international community to see this through the way it should have been done. Today's report is a wake-up call, and we need to act immediately on it.
The question is, what effective action is possible? Those named in the report could be referred to the International Criminal Court, but the ICC has no jurisdiction in Myanmar because the country is not a signatory to the Rome Statute that established the court. That means any referral to the ICC would need the backing of all 5 Permanent Security Council members, and China is unlikely to be on board. The UN report is shocking, but it seems unlikely to be enough at this stage to force the Myanmar government to change. Frank Uciardo, TRT World, New York.
Well, joining me now is Tun Khin, the president of the Burmese Rohingya Organisation in the UK. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. So, you fled yourself Rakhine State in the 1990s, and in an article you said you were one of the lucky ones to be out. So, how was it back then for you, and when you look at today, what did you go through?
Our situation is really bad. You know, now we have seen UN report released yesterday mentioned genocide. Actually, this genocide is going on for many decades. When I was in Arakan, I have seen, you know, I was not recognized as a citizen of Burma, even though my grandfather was a member of parliament, you know. And my friends, I have seen sentenced to jail because they married secretly, they're not getting, you know, the marriage application is not granted, and with no right to move from one village to another, no right to get married, no right to have children, you know, no right to have medical treatment. This has been going on many years. Is until today is still ongoing. Situation is much worse now because security forces and military rounding up the villages, and you know they're not allowed to go for fishing to the paddy field. It's seriously worse compared with even when I was Arcana State.
And you have friends and relatives who have gone through that crime?
Yes, a lot of my friends, they have lost their brothers been slaughtered in front of their family members, and you know, some of my friends, their wives been raped in front of them, and you know, that is what's happened. And when I was in Bangladesh, you know, I met many victims, many survivors. They told me it's a shocking story, unbelievable, you know. It's really, you can't, I don't know how to express even, you know. Like one woman told me in front of her, when she was raped by the military, her husband was slaughtered by the other militaries, and, you know, lucky she was able to
So it must be very hard for you. And you have been a leading voice for the Rohingya around the world. So it's been a year after the massive attacks by the Myanmar military, exactly a year on now. How do you feel about this UN report coming out?
Well, UN report, this is very good report. We welcome Rohingya communities around the world. We are very pleased to see the report. So we've been talking about what's happened to our people is genocide, but international community is not recognizing many organizations, they are not using the word genocide even, unfortunately. So now it's already, UN have done a great job, you know, a wonderful report. But the point here is now, what how can move forward from here? The problem is, the point is, we have seen many reports. This report is the best one ever we have seen, but we want to see military criminals bringing them international criminal court. That is the most important issue. And the other side, how international protection can be given to the Rohingya 500,000 population. They've been trapped in Rakhine State right now. The genocide is ongoing right now in Rakhine State. So this is very important. And the other side, genocide survivors, more than 700,000 in Bangladesh, you know, they are taking refuge. So we need protection from them. They are not getting proper medical care and, you know, education. And so international community need to do much more. But I have not seen a you know, effective action from international community.
Okay, so do you think this is the right approach then to go through the UN Security Council? Will anything, do you think, will come out of there, or is there another way to approach it for the international community?
First thing, of course, international UN Security Council is sitting down today, and they have to call for a stronger action to support ICC referral to bring them International Criminal Court, because they have to listen to, the international community must listen, must look at Rohingya boys, the victims from the ground. When I visited them 3-4 times in Bangladesh camp, what they say, we want justice. We want to see these perpetrators to justice. So this is very important issue. The victims, the survivors, they told me and everyone, whoever visited, that they want justice. So must bring them ICC. Same time, the genocide survivors, we need to empower them and building up the community, because the Burmese military and government systematically, intentionally destroying our community. So by counteracting, by rebuilding up the community is very important. We want to see we are a manageable minority. We have our land, our culture, you know, our civilization. So we want to go back our homeland, but we need international protection at the same time. So must bring them ICC referral, international protection to the Rohingya inside Burma, and protection to Rohingya refugees. Assisting Bangladesh government is very important. I want to point out here, you know, ICC referral, UN Security Council is a much long way to go. But we need to look at the same time, what other mechanism we can use to bring them. We can, international community must stop cutting off with a genocidal state. You know, it's a genocidal state. For example, Turkish government is very strong and supportive, you know, to stop this genocide. They've been, a lot of work they've been doing. But now Turkish government, you know, must come forward to call up, to call a meeting, for emergency meeting, how they can bring up international community to stop this genocide and to protect these Rohingya people, to empower genocide survivors. This is very important. We really appreciate Turkey government, and the people of Turkey have been a strong voice for our people. So I would like to express many thanks on behalf of Rohingya people, but it is time now, must act from everyone. The UN Security Council, Turkish and ASEAN and OIC member of states.
So everybody needs to input now. It's the time, you're saying. Yes.
21st century, the genocide is happening. UN have already, UN, the world body, did a report.
On that
so
note,
it's time to act.
Yes, I have to wrap it up here. Let's not witness another Rwanda or another Bosnia. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and your story with us.
Thank you.
Iran's president says his government will defeat anti-Iranian officials in the White House and overcome sanctions reimposed by the US. Hassan Rouhani has been speaking in the country's parliament. He's acknowledged that many people have lost faith in Iran because of the penalties. Rouhani said anti-government protests in January had tempted US President Donald Trump to withdraw from the 2015 nuclear deal and reinstate the sanctions.
We will not allow a bunch of anti-Iranians that today has gathered in the White House to plot against us. The White House will not be happy with the end of today's session.
Meanwhile, the United States has vowed to fight Iran's legal bid to have US sanctions removed. Iran has taken its case to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Tehran is asking the ICJ to order the United States to lift sanctions. It says the measures violate the terms of a 1954